Hello everyone, I am Janine Kaangay Bigkas and now I am going to report about the fall of Bataan. The Battle of Bataan was fought by the United States and the Philippine Commonwealth against Japan during World War II. The battle represented the most intense phase of the Japanese invasion of the Philippines during the World War II. So what caused the fall of Bataan? In January 1942, forces of the Imperial Japanese Army and Navy invaded Luzon along with the several islands in the Philippines archipelago after the bombing of the American naval base at Pearl Harbor. Soon afterwards, U.S. and the Filipino prisoners of war were forced into the Bataan Death March. What happened during the fall of Bataan? The Battle of Bataan ended on April 9, 1942, when Army Major General Edward P. King surrendered to the Japanese General Masaharu Homma. About 12,000 Americans and 63 Filipinos became prisoners of war. What followed became known as the Bataan Death March, one of the worst atrocities in modern history. Why Bataan surrendered to the Japanese? For the U.S. to immediately grant independence so that the Philippines could declare a status of neutrality and request that U.S. and Japanese soldiers mutually withdraw from the Philippines in order to save the lives of remaining Filipino soldiers in Bataan. What was the point of Bataan Death March? The Japanese intended for the captured Filipino and American soldiers to march the roughly 65 miles from the Bataan Peninsula to a railhead inland, from which they would be moved by train to a prisoner one camp. Are there any survivors of the Bataan Death March? Brainerd's Walter Straka marched in the treacherous conditions for about 65 miles over 6 days in the infamous Bataan Death March that began April 10, 1942, but he didn't die. He is a survivor. And decades later, at age 100, Straka is a Minnesota last surviving member of the Bataan Death March during World War II. What is Bataan known for? Bataan is known for its historical places thanks to its great role in the world history. Among the most famous ones are the Death March, Siege of Bataan, and the Fall of Bataan. So how did Bataan fall? On April 9, 1942, officials in command of Bataan, where Filipino and American forces maintained the main resistance in the war against Japanese, formally surrendered. The Philippine-American troops in this war, ravaged and blood-stained peninsula, have laid down their arms. I think that would be all. Thank you and goodbye.